Welcome to my kitchen and this week's episode of Don't Eat It Out of a Box. So I asked my Twitter followers what they were interested in seeing me cook, and you guys really gave me a lot of feedback, and that made me really happy to know that you were so engaged. But I would say the overwhelming top thing that people asked for was lasagna. I'm gonna go with a vegan lasagna, but I want you to know right up front that in your tomato sauce, if you want to add anchovies into that, if you want to add ground pork, if you didn't want to add meat but you didn't want to go with vegan, you could add cheese and that would be really yummy. And the cheeses I would recommend is some grated Parmesan, maybe some grated mozzarella, but for today we're gonna go with vegan. And I'm really excited about this. I've made it before. I love it. I don't miss the cheese. I don't miss the meat. Definitely one of the things about doing a vegetarian lasagna is you're getting all these vegetables. It's really healthy. Everything in here has antioxidants and nutrients, and I imagine it is on the anti-inflammatory diet, which is basically no wheat, no dairy, no sugar, no alcohol, no coffee. That's kind of your basis of a general anti-inflammatory diet. And you know I'm not a doctor, nor have I ever played one on TV. That's not true. In Soap Dish, I played Dr. Monaco DeMonaco. I don't think she could perform any kind of medical anything. So I would recommend this for a Sunday meal that you either make, put in your refrigerator unbaked, and then save it for during the week when you want to cook this meal for your friends or your family. Or you could even freeze it, and same thing. Or you could make it Sunday night, and I'm gonna stick to my Game of Thrones thing. You could eat it while you're watching Game of Thrones, because that's what I'm doing on Sunday nights. I wanna talk about the tomato sauce because I've cheated a little bit here, and I'm not sure if you saw either my video with Gigi Gorgeous, my friend Gigi Gorgeous, where we did turkey meatballs and red sauce over kale noodles. Great video, check that out if you haven't seen it already. Or if you saw my red sauce with pasta that I did with my daughter Emerson. Makes me smile just thinking about her. Anyways, I've gone over red sauce quite a bit. So either make yourself some tomato sauce by following one of my other videos, or get yourself a can of tomato sauce that's already made, or a jar that's that you would use for pasta. My hint on that is that many companies with the jarred spaghetti sauce have hidden sugars in there. So please turn the label around, look at the ingredients, and don't buy one with hidden cane sugar. So beyond our tomato sauce, we have all of these lovely vegetables. And let me kind of give you the rundown of where we're going with this whole thing. The idea is going to be replacing the noodles that would normally be in a lasagna with strips of eggplant and strips of yellow squash and strips of zucchini. So those are going to be our noodles. Then our center is going to be, we are going to do a beautiful kale and mushroom pate, and that is going to mimic the meat. That's going to be a layer. And then for our cheese, we're going to do a tofu blend with parsley and garlic and salt and pepper, and that's going to mimic our ricotta cheese. And then we're going to layer it all up, and it's gonna be fabulous. The first thing I'm gonna do is I am gonna start making our noodles. Maybe we should call them voodles, because they're vegetables, voodles? Does anybody use that? Maybe I should coin that expression, voodles. Okay, we're gonna start with the eggplant. Once we get it sliced, I'm gonna put it in the oven at about 350. I just wanna let these vegetables go for maybe 10-15 minutes, just to try to get some of the moisture out of them. I think the biggest problem with vegetarian lasagna is that you end up with like soupy and watery. I think roasting them for just 10, maybe 15 minutes is a good idea. I'm gonna just square off the sides of this eggplant. You noticed I cut both ends so that I've got flat ends. I'm going to that is going to be a noodle. So I'm using my mandolin. You could, if you don't have a mandolin, let me see how this is going to work. The best idea would definitely be to give yourself a flat surface. And then as thin as you can, you want to slice straight down. That's a lot thicker than what the mandolin did, but it's not unmanageable. But I'm just going to go down here. So that is all of our eggplant noodles. I've got a cooking tray, and I'm going to spray it with a little olive oil, and then I'm just going to lay out my eggplant noodles. Okay, you're gonna have to let me know if you think that's stupid. It's probably stupid, but you know, when you're alone in your kitchen talking to a phone, making food, it's amazing what things seem like good ideas to you. All right, I'm gonna need 2 cookie sheets to get through all this eggplant. And I would say this is enough of a recipe for probably 3 to 4 people. We're going to be making the lasagna in this deep square pan. I almost fell over there. Did you guys see that? I almost went, woo! But I didn't. If you want to make it for twice as many people, you could double all the vegetables and use a bigger rectangular pan. I think for 3 to 4 people, it's going to be deep and heavy and warm and comforting, and I would slice it like that and give each person a square. So these are going in the oven at 350 for about 10 minutes. We're going to move on to mandolin slicing our yellow squash and zucchini noodles, voodles. I'm just going to keep saying it. You know, once you commit, that's the thing. Got to commit to something. Just go for it. No looking back. They're voodles. That's what I'm calling them. Hatcher's vegan lasagna with vegetarian voodles. There you go. So I'm going to chop off the ends. Need my knife for that. Just square it off. I'm telling you, this is such a satisfying feeling. I do worry that inexperienced and or rushed and or wine-induced people could potentially cut themselves, and that would not be good. But I love my mandolin. I'm gonna get the topper and show you that for safety, safety, safety. See, and the idea, most of them have like this kind of hand cupping topper on it. I don't know where mine is. I never really use it. But there you go. I still have all my fingers. And that is now also going to go in the oven for about 10 minutes. Our first sheet of eggplant is coming out, and this is pretty much what I wanted. You see how it got a little bit brown? You can see it starting to sweat there. I'm gonna now flip it over. I think I'm gonna put them back in for another 5 minutes. So it's gonna take you about a half an hour, I think, to prep the voodles between slicing the eggplant and the squash and the zucchini and giving them rounds in the oven. The last vegetable that we have to mandolin is our zucchini. And I'd be mindful of my fingers. I really do like making healthy meals, but also healthy meals that they're satisfying, you know, like lasagna to me, and it makes sense to me why so many of you asked for lasagna. I mean, lasagna it's just home, right? It's just comfort. It's almost like eating chocolate. It's like that same satiating feeling you get from lasagna. Nice glass of red wine. Or, you know, just sparkling water. I actually have been trying to do the anti-inflammatory diet for a while. I don't like the word diet actually, but just trying to see, you know, what effect does sugar and wheat and dairy and alcohol, what does it have on my body? If I cut it out for a month, will I feel any differently? And actually it's been about 2 weeks. I think I maybe do feel better. So it's interesting. I think it's good to try things, and you can't expect there to be any changes instantly. You know, I think we all want things to just happen instantly, and it's hard to be consistent and stay with something for a long time if you don't see changes right away. And I don't think you will see changes right away, but I think in a month, if you commit to something for a month, I think you probably will. I think I actually am starting to feel better, like more just alert, more energy. It might be worth trying. Going in the oven. I've got my first sheet of eggplant out of the oven, and that's exactly what I wanted it to look like. It's just a little bit browned, and you can feel that moisture coming out of it. So I'm gonna pile them up here, and I'm just gonna kind of squeeze, just press some of that water out. So this is gonna be our plate, and we're gonna stack up all of our voodles here. I'm just gonna stick with it. I'm calling them that. Hashtag voodles. Eating whole foods. That's the healthiest move you can make. My yellow squash is done. So I'm gonna pile these up. And then periodically I'm just gonna press a little bit of that water out. I think I've said before that the vegetarian meals, they do sometimes take a long time. And our zucchini is done. I think about sometimes the people that say, oh, I don't like vegetables, I don't eat vegetables. And I often think it's because of how they've been cooked. And I just think people don't like the texture, maybe. If something is steamed, it might be overly mushy, and then their idea in their head, the story they tell themselves, is that they just don't like vegetables. And I think I would ask you to give that another shot. To watch my channel and watch how I cook vegetables and see if you can't come to like them, because they're really good for you. The next piece of the puzzle of our vegetarian lasagna is going to be these beautiful portobello mushrooms. Now I am going to slice them up, and I don't have to be precious about it because, again, like the other vegetables, these portobello mushrooms are going to go in the oven for probably about 15 minutes to, and you can all say it with me now, let some of the water out. Oh, I heard ya. I heard you. I heard you out there. You knew what I was going to say. And this is going to become mushroom pate. And it is going to be our meat replacement. We're going to spread it between the layers of the tomato sauce and our voodles. And it's really, really yummy, and you're going to love it. I'm just roughly chopping up 3 garlic cloves. Smells so good. So this is going in the oven, 350, 375, depending on your oven, for about 15 minutes. The mushrooms are in the oven. They're cooking down. They're probably about 7 minutes in. You can see the moisture starting to come off of them. And I am going to go ahead and get this kale ready to go in our mushroom pate. So I have just five small pieces of kale. And if you haven't seen me work with kale before, I always cut out the stalks from the center of the kale because they're kind of tough. I'm just doing this because kale is really good for you. The dark leafy greens are some of the best things that you can be eating. And honestly, this is actually a good way to hide kale from somebody who thinks that they don't eat it, but you might want them to actually have the benefits of the nutrients that are in it. But I'm not doing it to hide it. I'm doing it because I want just that little bit of earthy, sort of strong flavor. It's gonna taste good, and it's gonna be good for you. What I'm doing with this kale is I am just blanching it in some boiling salt water for about 3 minutes, maybe just until my mushrooms are done. And then all of that is going in the food processor. The kale, the mushrooms with the garlic, this lovely fresh parsley. I've got a little bit of thyme here and salt and pepper. That made me laugh, just to say I've got a little bit of thyme here. I'm not sure I ever told you this before, but one Christmas when my daughter was really little, it was in the middle of when I was shooting Desperate Housewives, and boy, as a mom, single mom of a toddler, and you're working 14 hours a day and just trying to be everything to everybody at all times, Christmas came around and she said, "Mommy, what do you want for Christmas?" And I said, "I just want more sleep and time. That's all I want." And so she got with her friends and like went up into her room. I didn't know what she was doing, and she'd gotten a bunch of Post-it notes and all different colors, and all of her and her friends, they all wrote sleep and time on all these Post-it notes, and then they got a big picture frame and put it all in the picture frame. And on Christmas morning I woke up and that was my present, a frame full of sleep and time. I think I'm gonna have to go get that from my bedroom and show it to you. This was it. This was, and probably is, one of my favorite Christmas presents of all time. Maybe if you can see it. See this one right here? It says time, T-I-M, and then the E, it's like a lowercase E with a clock in it. Isn't that cute? Oh. Anyway, I know moms feel that way all the time. All we want is more sleep and more time. But I got some time for you right here in this jar. So that's what our mushrooms are looking like. You can see that steam is coming off of them, and they're gonna probably be in there another couple minutes. My kale is nicely blanched. I'm just gonna dab the water off of that. Careful, because that's gonna be hot. I'm just gonna put that right into the food processor, along with our parsley and our thyme and a pinch of pepper, a generous pinch, and a generous pinch of salt. Then I'm choosing to include a couple tablespoons of walnuts, maybe a couple tablespoons minus one little walnut. Oh, yum. Well, these are ready to go. Just gonna press a little more of that water out, and then these are going to go right into the food processor. I mean, honestly, this is a meal in itself without the lasagna. Like, you could just do a beautiful mushroom pate like this, serve it with crackers. Okay, so I'm gonna put the lid on here. Turn my power on. And I'm actually gonna pour a little bit of olive oil in there just to break it up a little bit. We'll see. To show you what that looks like. It should be a creamy texture that holds together when you pinch it. I think I'm going to add a little more salt. You should always taste your food. Sometimes I think I don't do that enough. I just assume it's going to taste good, and you really should be tasting your food as you go along. I think it looked like it needed a little bit more olive oil, so I'm going to add that now, probably another tablespoon. Perfect. Now I'm going to spoon that out so that we can be ready to plate our lasagna. Oh, it's hard to wait to build the lasagna. I just want to eat it all now. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make our tofu ricotta cheese. So I have a whole block of ricotta cheese and some fresh basil leaves, a little bit of olive oil, probably a tablespoon, some salt, and some pepper. And we'll get that going. I was thinking that if you had nutritional yeast, that might be a good thing to add, maybe a tablespoon of here too. I don't have any, but I find that nutritional yeast is a very good kind of cheesy flavor. And I'm thinking it might work well here. So if that's something you have at home, you might want to experiment. Let me know how that works out. Here we go. So that doesn't take much. Let's see. Yep, that looks great. Looks like ricotta cheese. Totally. Who would know? Now, we're gonna build our lasagna. So I'm gonna start with eggplant going across the bottom. So maybe you can see a little bit better. Looks like it's gonna take 3 pieces. I don't know if you noticed, I picked a pretty big eggplant that was long and kind of fat so that I'm getting some good coverage here. So I've got 3 going one way, and I'm gonna go ahead and put 2 going the other way, just to give the base a little bit of strength. Then I'm gonna load in a scoop of our mushroom pate, and I'm just gonna spread that out with the back of a spoon. Oh, this is gonna be so good. So that's what that's looking like so far. And then next, I'm gonna head for the zucchini. So if my eggplant was going this way on the bottom, now my zucchini is gonna go this way. I'm just gonna lie them up next to each other, just like that. Cover the whole thing. So that is the zucchini. And now I'm gonna take a little tomato sauce. And like I said before, this tomato sauce was leftover and frozen from the tomato sauce that I made with Gigi Gorgeous when I taught her how to make turkey meatballs over kale noodles, which she seemed to really like. I want to keep showing you each layer, so that's about how much tomato sauce I've put in there. And on top of the tomato sauce, I'm going to put the tofu. That's what that looks like. And then I'm gonna top it with our yellow squash. My eggplant went this way, my zucchini went this way, so now my squash is gonna go this way. And I'm trying to get it right over to the edge. I really want, when we slice this, I'm hoping that these layers, that you can see them, that they stay like that it doesn't just turn into a big mush. Now going back for the mushroom pate. One of my girlfriends just came over while I had the camera off. She's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm shooting a vegan lasagna video. Want to taste the mushroom pate?" She thought it was amazing. So I'm gonna do another row of eggplant. And this time my eggplant's gonna go this way. Basically, I'm just trying to keep going crisscross with every layer of my voodles. I hadn't said that word in a while. It's a little bit like a craft project. All right, I think I'll do some tomato sauce. So this tomato sauce has caramelized onions in it and roasted tomatoes. It's really good. Okay, and now I'm gonna do my tofu cheese replacement. I've got quite a lot here, so I can be pretty generous with it. And now you can just keep layering however you want between your vegetable noodles and your fillings and your sauce. Going back to mushroom pate, then I'm gonna put another layer of eggplant. Then I'm gonna do another tomato sauce, and I think this is gonna be our top layer. I'm gonna do the tomato sauce. and the rest of the cheese. Cheese in quotes. The rest of the in quotes cheese. And maybe a little more tomato sauce, just to make it sort of decorative. And I think I'm going to use my yellow squash as my topping, which I think I'm going to do in a triangular diagonal pattern, just to make it a little bit decorative. So I'm just going to season the top with a little bit more salt and a little bit of pepper. But there's a lot of flavor in there. And is that it? Are we ready to put it in the oven? I think it may be. There you go. That's what it looks like. So this is going to go in the oven at 350 for about 45 minutes to an hour. You just want it to all get bubbling hot. Our vegetarian lasagna is done. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, it looks beautiful. I think I better show you a close-up. Well, I love the way the tomato sauce around the edge has sort of caramelized. It's got a little bit of a browning happening. You probably want to let it cool for about 5 minutes before you cut into it. It looks like the perfect size, like I said, for 4 people. I'm going to cut across. I'm going to make it into just 4 beautiful pieces. I'm using a sharp knife because I do want to be able to cut through those slices of eggplant. I don't want them to pull when I go to take the piece out. Going in with my spatula. Oh, look at that. Wow. Can you see all the layers there? I can see the cheese, I can see the mushroom pate. I'm gonna try. Oh wow. I realize I say oh wow a lot after I eat in these videos, and feels a little arrogant, like I make such great food. It really is good, either that or I'm really hungry. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for the suggestion of lasagna. I hope you'll keep commenting and liking my videos. I want to know what you think. I want to make food that you want to eat, as long as it's not out of a box.